Going from 6 locations throughout the U.S., that's a quantum leap. That I couldn't do. I wasn't prepared to do that. I didn't have the MBA background. You guys are a lot more equipped, even to this very day, than I am, about taking it to the next level. So what I did, I understood my own shortcomings, that I'm not an MBA and I'm not a CEO, so let me go out and recruit one. So I hired a CEO. He was a Harvard MBA, and he was a CEO of a couple of other corporations, and I brought him in. And he was very good at helping me take it to the next level, expanding nationwide. And in order to do that, he had to hire a CFO. I didn't even know what a CFO was in those days. I mean, I was just a guy who wanted to start his own business, an entrepreneur. I didn't have the formal background to do this. So he hires a CFO, a COO, and national sales manager, trainers, and backup people, on and on and on. And through his experience and his ability as a CEO, he helped me build it into a national company. It wasn't a clear path to success. One of the mistakes I made is when I first hired the CEO, I had lunch with him and I said, you know what? In order to really understand this business, I think it's a great idea to go to the salons, visit some of the salons, talk to the customers, talk to the employees, you know, get your hands dirty, get a feeling for what this business is like, what makes it work, what makes it tick. Go to several of them, take the first month and just do that. Get to know the employees, shake hands with the employees, get to know them, make the connection. So he said, "So yeah, sure, no problem." All right, so he gets hired. From day one, he never left his office. He never went to one center, and he was what I called a paper pusher. He would have like several administrative assistant people. Like his desk would be full with papers every day. I said, what are you doing? I mean, you never visited the center. What, I said, don't you ever go out there? How do you know what's going on? We had a very, very volatile relationship. And from day one, I felt he was the wrong guy for this job because he never went out there to the centers. And after a month, I told my former wife that even though our attorney recommended him and did the recruiting, I think we made a mistake. She said, no. Our attorney said that we should stay with this guy. I said, well, he's doing a terrible job. I don't want to stay. I want to fire him. He's got to go. He's going to take us down. So I'm driving into New York City from Long Island in my car, and I'm getting into another one of our arguments with my former wife, and she's saying, yes, yes, yes. I say, no, he's got to go. And she got so angry with me that she started punching me in the car. So here I am, like approaching the Queens Midtown Tunnel, and with one hand, I'm trying to like block the punches. Good thing I had that training in the old days, the boxing training. So I'm blocking the punches, and I'm driving the car with one hand, and she went berserk on me. So I said, all right, we'll stay with him. So he made a lot of mistakes, but the one good thing, I like to give credit, there's always a column A and a column B. The real terrific thing about my CEO is that I didn't know the first thing about building the infrastructure. He did it. And without him, I never would be here talking to you guys today. I never would have enjoyed the success. So column A is that he did a great job at helping me expand building the infrastructure. Column B is that he was very incompetent. As he's expanding the company, I'm saying to him, well, how are we doing financially? We're opening up all these centers, and a lot of the centers I know are very busy. We have good cash flow coming in. I know we're making money, but we could be doing $100 million in revenue and spending, $110 million. What the hell's going on? So he could never tell me. So this is going on for a couple of years, to the point where we're almost bankrupt. So one day he calls me in his office. He said, "Si," I said, "What?" He says, "I hate to put it to you this way, but we're spending more than we're taking in." I said, "Oh, really? No kidding." I said, "I wish you would have told me that 2 years ago." I said, well, how far are we behind? He says, well, we're taking in about 100 million at the time, and we're spending about 103 or 105 million, something like that. And we racked up a pretty good sized debt over his, I think he was there 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it was. But we were in debt for, I forgot what, 10, 15, 20 million dollars. And I said, man, this is going to be a tough haul for us. And so now finally, I meet with my ex-wife and my attorney. I say, look, we're almost bankrupt. I think it's time to fire our CEO. Well, okay, like once we were almost bankrupt, yeah, sure. Too bad it took this long. So where do we go from here? So we then hired somebody who turns companies around. He comes up and he's my new CEO. Gets rid of a dozen centers, closes them up because they weren't profitable. We had to trim our employee staff. I didn't like doing this, but it was either sink or swim. Either you trim the fat or you're out. So as a survivor, you want to save the other employees, so you have no choice. So we fired about 20, 30% of our employees. We closed down a bunch of centers. And one of my ideas was, let's move the company from New York City, the parent company headquarters, to Florida. I was already living in Florida, and in Florida, the cost of living, labor is about 30%. Real estate is about 30, 40% less than New York real estate. So right off the bat, by moving the company to Florida, we saved $1 million a year. So we had a new mentality. So now one of the things, I meet with the creditors committee. They wanted to force us out of business. I talked to them for about 8 straight hours. I convinced them to give us a reprieve, that instead of forcing us into bankruptcy, we can't pay you the $15 million that we owe you right now, but if you be lenient and give us 5 years to pay it out, I'll pay you back in 5 years. So they agreed to do that. I now became more proactive in the company. I started to go on a PR campaign. I went on all the talk shows. I was on like half a dozen radio shows per day. I was driving more traffic through free PR than I was through paid advertising. So I did the whistle stop campaign. I went from city to city, lived out of a suitcase, did a half a dozen radio shows per day, the next day, the next city, on and on and on. I was doing this for about 2 straight years, okay? Leno, Saturday Night Live, that put me on the map as a well-known celeb. But I was using my recognition from TV advertising to make myself a celebrity. I wanted the free airtime, like Trump gets free airtime right now for his campaign. I did the same thing for Hair Club. Reaching millions of people didn't cost me a penny. So did that. We hired a new CEO down in Florida. She was a regional manager who I promoted up to the CEO position, but I had consulted with all of our other employees, our regional manager, our sales. I said, who do you think I should recruit? I want somebody from the field instead of somebody who came to me as an MBA. She hired a really good CFO, and her husband was an accountant. They both worked together, and we put together the right team. A few years later, I sold the company, and I did well. But I probably could have done better if I would have waited a couple of years, because my former wife and I were going through a divorce, and somebody made me a good offer. I wanted to take the money and run at that point. I didn't want to, I just ran out of it. I didn't want to fight with her anymore. And one more, the final thing is, I finally regained control of my company from our attorney. Because when I reached the point when I did the whistle stop campaign, I sat down with both of them. I said, look, we're almost bankrupt. I'm willing to work, go city to city. We can't afford paid advertising. I'll generate all the revenue we need by doing all these radio shows city to city. I'll do it myself. I'll work my butt off to turn the company around. Now that we've trimmed the fat, now we need people coming through the door. I'll do that myself. Oh great, so you're going to do that? I said, but under one condition, that either we split the company up, I take half and you take half if this thing turns around, or you give me control of the company. The attorney has to give up his vote. I want that extra vote on the board. So the board had 3 votes. I now had 2 votes, and my former wife had 1. So I now control the company, and I didn't want to put out all that extra effort. I would have rather have gone bankrupt at that point if the company remained in control of the attorney and my ex-wife. I would split the company up. If I had to resell it at an auction, no matter what, I would start all over again. So they gave me control of the company, and by doing that, it gave me the incentive to go out there, knock on doors, travel from city to city, do all the PR to help turn it around. That's my story, guys.